Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. First stage of a newborn. I have regressed by one stage. What should I do? Sector Beast Morosa was in agony. It was a highly ambitious sector beast, so even within its own nest, it would be the one standing at the peak. The only thing that could instill some fear in it was the most powerful sector beast, Betty. Other than Betty, there was nothing else it feared. Betty was also fully aware that only those like Morosa, who had crossed over to the third stage, were a threat to it. It kept a watchful eye over the fights and devouring activities of these third stage beings. Regressing to the first stage, the powerful strength that I originally possessed would immediately disperse. I am forced to fall all the way to the first stage, though it was the pinnacle first stage. Sector Beast Morosa was pondering. It might have been severely injured by Luo Feng's killer moves, but the remaining amount of power still far exceeded the power range of the first stage. If it could not bear with it, it would naturally disperse. Now, it was at the pinnacle first stage. For the sector beast's nest, this level of power was considered to be power at the bottommost level. I still have a chance, still have the final glimmer of chance, Sector Beast Morosa said to itself. There is only a handful of sector beasts within the nest that have crossed over to the third stage. The majority are in the second stage. As for those in the pinnacle first stage, maybe there are, maybe there aren't. And even if there are, they must be hiding somewhere, living their lives quietly as they resigned themselves to their circumstances. My power is very close to the second stage. Besides, I am Morosa, a sector beast who stands at the pinnacle. Sensing a hint of my aura from afar, the others would feel scared. They are unaware of the fact that I have become weak. Many thoughts were racing through Sector Beast Morosa's mind as he contemplated his action plan. For instance, when two weaker sector beasts were fighting one another, it could wait until the later stage of the fight, when one party was about to emerge as victor. Then it would exude its aura from afar, scare the winning party away, and kill the losing party instead. Even the losing party, in its state of severe injuries, would most likely be more powerful than Morosa. I must give it a try and fight on. I am now at pinnacle first stage. I just need to eat one sector beast from the second stage. I will be able to move up to the second stage right away. Even if vying to be the ultimate king was impossible, there was still the possibility of threatening Universe Ocean. Sector Beast Morosa quickly pondered over the situation to come up with its plan. If I fail, I will divulge the secret of devouring the origins of miniature universes to speedily increase one's powers. Milky Way Horde Leader. I will be back. Sector Beast Morosa's two heads looked toward the primal universe before it instantly teleported and disappeared. After the battle with Sector Beast Morosa, Luo Feng also boarded Star Tower and headed back to the primal universe. After all, he had gotten what he was after through this battle, the blood of a sector beast. Naturally, it would have to be brought back to the primal universe for his remote ocean to analyze and study. Perhaps this time, he would be able to surpass the last step and achieve a breakthrough where the life gene level of his godly body would exceed 90,000 times. Standing inside Star Tower, Luo Feng, garbed in a suit of white robe, sighed gently. Beside him were Hong and Fire Dome. The two had witnessed the entire battle. After the battle ended, Luo Feng also let them in on some detailed information, so they were clear about the entire process. We are in trouble. Luo Feng shook his head. This battle was fought by my team on Star Tower. I'm afraid many true gods of Universe Ocean have already caught wind of the news. The various races of Universe Ocean are already devoid of endurance against attacks. But this time, I have failed to kill Sector Beast. I think this might cause the various races of Universe Ocean to collapse. Hong said, Luo Feng, do not overtax yourself. You have already done enough. Besides, didn't you say so yourself? That Sector Beast has been banished back to the first stage from its original third stage. Its power is now very, very weak. The chances of it restoring itself to full power is almost impossible. Any true god, who is just a tad more powerful, would be able to annihilate it. Luo Feng shook his head, saying that it would be unable to restore its power. That was purely my personal conjecture. I have deduced that it will need to devour other sector beasts in order to advance to the second stage and eventually into the third stage. However, these are purely deductions. Although it is very easy to kill right now, it is highly unlikely for that sector beast to show itself when it is vulnerable. It will remain in hiding as it gradually regains its power, while also thinking of ways to increase its power. When it shows up again, it will certainly be even more difficult to handle than before. Hong and Fire Dome both gave slight nods. Fair enough. Any living being with some degree of wisdom would think likewise. When weak and small, it was a natural reaction to go into hiding. Teacher, no matter what, at least for a short period of time, that sector beast will not reappear, Fire Dome said. Luo Feng nodded slightly and said with a sigh, all right. I have to go and send out this piece of news. I truly don't know. How would the various true gods of the Universe Ocean react the moment they caught wind of this news? Within an individual plane surface that solely belonged to Luo Feng, on the public square before a palace that was suspended in the air of the primal universe, more than 50 true gods had gathered together from the ancestral god school, the human race, the various races of the Hong Alliance, and the Space Beast Alliance. The true gods were all discussing things via voice transmissions, as no one dared to make a single utterance out loud for fear of distracting Luo Feng, who was sitting before them cross-legged. This time, during the battle with the Sector Beast, the team on Star Tower was much stronger than the team on the vessel. It will definitely be able to annihilate that Sector Beast. That Sector Beast deserves nothing more than death. The true gods were all waiting with apprehension. They all felt as though they were facing a life-and-death situation. More on point, it was a situation that made them even more nervous than a life-and-death situation. The Sector Beast was a threat to everything they had sought to protect. If there was no longer anyone who was able to stop the Sector Beast, then regardless of whether one wanted to transcend a reincarnation era, or protect one's race, or close friends, all would be futile efforts, as everything would be annihilated. Milky Way Horde leader is getting up. Milky Way. Suddenly, there was a commotion. From where he was seated in a cross-legged manner, Luo Feng stood up. His gaze swept through the numerous true gods present. Then slowly, he said, everyone, after this battle, that Sector Beast will not show up again so soon. At least not in this recent period of time. Everyone was taken by surprise. Milky Way Horde leader, what you just said. What do you mean? Once that Sector Beast is dead, does it mean that after a period of time, the other sector beasts will also come out of their nests? No matter what, so long as we can kill one, we are sure to be able to kill more. The numerous true gods were all engaged in discussion. They were all filled with anticipation. If they had managed to kill one sector beast, then it would be a great boost to their confidence. Luo Feng pointed far into mid-air and drew with his consciousness. Immediately, the battle scene appeared. All of you, take a careful look, and you will understand everything. Scenes of the battle between Luo Feng and Sector Beast replayed before everyone. As for the method of Whirlpool World, it was clearly made public to the audience. To Luo Feng, who was already the number one being in Universe Ocean, even if he wanted to go public about something, no one could do much to stop him. As for the conversation between Luo Feng and Sector Beast, there was no need nor elaboration. Luo Feng merely provided a brief explanation to update the crowd. It had deteriorated from the third stage to the first stage, said Luo Feng. It is so weak that not a single true god would fear it. Any true god that is slightly more powerful will be able to annihilate it. So, that Sector Beast will not show up again so soon, at least not for this recent period of time. Silence prevailed. The numerous true gods witnessed the entire battle. Everyone had complex feelings. While they marveled about how powerful Luo Feng was, they were at the same time feeling greatly shocked. That Sector Beast's means of escape were indeed formidable. Even when trapped in a sealed space, it could actually execute an ultimate survival technique that resembled a portal to make a speedy escape in an instant. Although Sector Beast Morosa seemed to have paid a hefty price to execute this technique, it had, at the very least, managed to stay alive. If he did not kill his enemy, then once the enemy regained all its power, it would stage a comeback. Everything is as expected. Luo Feng said no more as he turned and directly walked into the palace. All that needed to be said had been said. What had to be disclosed had been disclosed. If the true gods of Universe Ocean were so desperate that some had decided to pledge allegiance to the Sector Beasts, that would also be the choice they made. Amidst the clouds high up in the skies of Earth, a lone figure was seated. How unexpected. He did not succeed. Sitting Mountain Guest was sitting on the clouds as he frowned. The Sector Beast is unexpectedly quite a tough nut to crack. This Sector Beast disaster is scarier than I had expected. Now, the Sector Beasts are still growing up and are not in their final moments. In the future, though, I'm uncertain of whether this disciple of mine will be able to stop them. I have put in such immeasurable efforts. Sitting Mountain Guest revealed a trace of anxiety in his eyes. Purple Moon Holy Land Universe. Purple Moon Ancestor sat on his throne with his eyes shut as he sank into deep thoughts. He was waiting for news about the battle between Luo Feng and the Sector Beast. Luo Feng, although I really would have rejoiced over your death, it is a fact that we need to rely on you to deal with that Sector Beast. Even if you bear deep hatred for us, you also have to deal with it. For your humans, for your homeland in the pulse of the earth, you have to deal with it. You have to win, you must win. Purple Moon Ancestor was chanting in his mind. I have cultivated for endless time and transcended reincarnations. Now, I have been met with a greater opportunity. I can become even more powerful, but my miniature universe must never, ever be devoured. The moment that happens, I am truly finished. Also, there is my clan to think of. This is my only worry. Purple Moon Ancestor shut his eyes. He could see, very clearly, every single space within the entire Purple Moon Holy Land universe. He saw the birth of numerous children, and saw them growing up. He saw how they either matured whilst honing their skills in blood and fire or faltered and fell. This was his clan. The clan that gave birth to him. A long, long time ago, he was also just an ordinary member of the clan. But later on, he continued to rise and rise until he became the strongest master of the entire clan. He established his Holy Land universe, and was thereafter regarded as a tried and true ancestor of his clan. All of them. They are all a part of my clan. The endless years of hard work and effort I've spent. The paths of hard work I've trod. Everything and anything. The moment the Sector Beast devours my miniature universe and causes my miniature universe to collapse, then everything will ultimately come to an end. Luo Feng. If I can't kill you, you will become my greatest threat. But this time, you have to kill the Sector Beast. You must. Purple Moon Ancestor was fervently looking forward to the death of the Sector Beast. Suddenly, the numerous great beings beneath Purple Moon Ancestor transmitted an announcement without delay. Ancestor, we have news. Purple Moon Ancestor opened his eyes suddenly, and looked toward the crowd beneath. Has Luo Feng killed the sector beast? No, someone from the crowd below replied. The sector beast is not dead. It escaped. Purple Moon Ancestor's expression changed drastically. What? This was only a single sector beast that had come out of the sector beast's nest, and yet Luo Feng was unable to kill it. Based on the information given, Luo Feng has gained the absolute upper hand, and has caused the sector beast to suffer a great loss of power. Yet, toward the end, that sector beast decided to pay a humongous price to execute just one move. It was a move that seemed to involve something that resembled a portal, through which it instantly transported itself away. The underlings were filled with reverence as they said, at this moment, the power of this sector beast could be so harmless that none of the true gods would be afraid of it at all. Nonsense. Purple Moon Ancestor's face was ghastly pale. Sector beast is weak and small. Would it let you find it? That sector beast will definitely hide while it restores its power. Sector beast, sector beast. Just one sector beast is already such trouble. We don't even know how many more are in the sector beast's nest. This Luo Feng is just so useless. Purple Moon Ancestor said through gritted teeth. His heart was filled with agony and fear. Just as Purple Moon Ancestor was fuming mad and gritting his teeth, within the other one of Universe Ocean's two great Holy Land universes, East Emperor Holy Land Universe, East Emperor Ancestor was, on the contrary, very much at peace. On that endless great land, East Emperor Ancestor walked about alone, looking at the numerous clansmen living on this great piece of land. I had not expected Luo Feng to fail in killing the sector beast, East Emperor Ancestor whispered to himself. This is only one sector beast that came out of the sector beast nest. It is highly unlikely to be the strongest. This one is already so difficult to kill. What if there were more sector beasts? In the near future, what if the king of sector beasts finally emerges? However, I should not ask for too much. I have never been the one with the best talent, yet step by step, I have worked my way up to become a true god, eventually attaining the level of a true god of void space. Purple Moon might have met with better opportunities, but his miniature universe is inferior to mine. East Emperor Ancestor shook his head with a laugh. As he recalled the various events that he had undergone over the long years of growing up, East Emperor Ancestor could not help but smile to himself. Facing that sector beast, I am definitely unable to stop it. I can only pin my hopes on Luo Feng, just like how the willpower of the Origin has pinned its hopes on Luo Feng. East Emperor Ancestor gave a light-hearted laugh. If Luo Feng wins, I still stand a chance. If he loses, I can only say that with life comes death. Who can enjoy eternal prosperity? Even for the most powerful nations from the ancient civilization, there came the day when they all had to face destruction. Luo Feng, East Emperor Ancestor silently waited, hopeful. East Emperor Ancestor, who had lived for eras beyond count, was most peaceful. Meanwhile, Purple Moon Ancestor, who had lived for a much shorter time, was anxious and uneasy, and thus, easily irritable. As for the various races of Universe Ocean, in the face of such a great calamity, they certainly displayed a diverse range of reactions. In the Divine Eye clan, in the universe of First True Master, all 5 true gods of Divine Eye clan had gathered for a discussion. Just as the 5 were getting anxious about the news that it was extremely difficult to kill that sector beast, they suddenly heard a voice from the group of Universe Masters, who had been listening in silence. These Universe Masters seldom voiced their opinions, yet that day, one of them spoke up. Teacher, we have to consider our race and think of our future. The 5 true gods, including Divine Eye True Master, all turned to look over. Ink Dragon, what do you mean? Divine Eye True Master asked with closely knitted brows. Ink Dragon was a newly appointed universe master, who had been to the world of Jinn to hone his skills. There, he had benefited quite a bit. Also sporting a single-eyed shadow behind him, Ink Dragon Master said with much anxiety, "Teacher, we are from the first reincarnation era. Once this reincarnation era ends, if we have yet to transcend reincarnation, we will be destroyed for eternity." Everyone fell silent. In fact, the doomsday crisis applied to every race from the first reincarnation era. When it comes to us fighting the Sector Beast, so what if we win? Ink Dragon Master asked anxiously. In the end, don't we still have to try our best to transcend reincarnation? The time we, Divine Eye Clan, have left is not a lot. And now that we know the Sector Beast is so difficult to deal with, if that is the case, then we should just follow the paths of Jinjo Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God. Shut your mouth. Ink Dragon, what are you saying? Divine Eye True Master and 3 True Gods shouted angrily all at once. Ink Dragon Master started to speak again in the same anxious manner. Teacher. Shut your mouth, Divine Eye True Master ordered coldly. Divine Eye, the 3 True Masters started to say slowly. What Ink Dragon says. It does make sense. Divine Eye True Master could not help turning around to look at 3rd True Master angrily. However, 3rd True Master also held a high position within the race, so there was no way he could ask 3rd True Master to shut his mouth. How are we going to fight and win against the Sector Beast? 3rd True Master said. It is a being that represents destruction. Even the willpower of primal origin is scared of it, and has thus created a world of Jinn, just to seek a chance for survival, albeit however slim. The willpower of the primal universe origin had been transmitting messages via the 3 ancestral gods, yet Luo Feng was the #1 master of universe ocean, instead of the 3 ancestral gods. Why did the willpower of the origin choose to do so? Because the willpower of the origin also knew that if it were to rely on us, there would be no way the Sector Beast could be stopped. Luo Feng was the only reliable choice. Now, Luo Feng is merely a universe master, yet he is already above any of us true gods. When he becomes a true god, there will be hope for us to achieve success. Divine Eye True Master looked at him. You say that Ink Dragon made sense, and then you say Milky Way is our hope. But that is if he becomes a true god, 3rd True Master said. Up until now, he has yet to achieve his breakthrough, and who knows when that is going to happen. Just one Sector Beast, yet he failed to kill it. Can he really succeed in bringing it down? Even if he did become a true god, what we have is merely hope. To the Sector Beast, Luo Feng is the one who poses a threat to them, not us. Besides, the Sector Beasts never laid hands on Jinjo Master and Dragon Rock Ancestral Gods miniature universes. Divine Eye True Master continued listening intently. If we were to take the side of the Sector Beast, 3rd True Master said, then not only will the Sector Beast not attack us, but if it were to stay within our miniature universe, even Luo Feng would not be able to do anything to us. The willpower of the primal universe origin always relied on other great beings to execute its moves. See Jinjo Emperor and Dragon Rock Demon God. Aren't they still alive and well? So long as we are not so silly to the extent of initiating provocation from Luo Feng, like Great Thunderstar Master did, then we will not be annihilated. We should not be bothered about the Sector Beast crisis. Instead, we should put our hearts into cultivation. We should make good use of the final moments. We have to try our best to transcend reincarnation. The moment we succeed, eternal victory will be ours to claim. The efforts we put in now, the side we choose. For the sake of transcending reincarnation in the future, it will all be worth it. If we are unable to transcend reincarnation, then fighting the Sector Beast to come to such a tragic end would only prove to be a joke. Divine I True Master surveyed the surroundings. Silence prevailed. Quite a few Universe Masters thought this way, but there were also quite a handful who felt that they should fight the Sector Beast. Divine I True Master looked at every one of them, then at the other 4 true gods. From the looks in their eyes, he could understand the thoughts of the other parties. There were those who raised their objections, but there were also others who were agreeable. Although I feel that it is inappropriate to seek refuge with a Sector Beast, 6th True Master said in a low voice, what 3rd brother said has a certain degree of reason. Divine I, you decide. We will follow your decision. Divine I True Master was so frustrated and pained that he was frowning. With a wave, he dismissed them. Leave, all of you. Let me think about it carefully. The Sector Beast is truly powerful. Killing it for real is going to be too difficult. If the Sector Beast is truly able to spare us, then there is no need for us to create enmity with it. Actually, I'm just worried the Sector Beast will be unwilling to take us in. After all, the Sector Beast needs to devour the origin of a miniature universe. Taking one of us in means it has one less origin to devour. Even if we were to decide to change sides, it might not take us in. If I had the power of Milky Way Horde leader, and were willing to pledge my allegiance, the Sector Beast would most certainly be rejoicing and willing to take me in. Milky Way Horde leader, you must succeed, Frothflower True God said, standing within her own miniature universe, as she looked far into the distance at the people of her race. She was silently praying for the best. No wonder the willpower of the origin also believed in Luo Feng. Now the Sector Beast is unstoppable by anyone. Only Milky Way Horde leader had some possibility of success. The demon true gods had gathered in the primal universe. As members of the primal universe, they did not dare to change sides. It was obvious. The primal universe and the Sector Beasts were opposing groups. Pledging allegiance to the Sector Beast would mean going against the primal universe. They had, at the very least, lived through 2 reincarnation eras. They did not want to be seen as enemies by the primal universe. There were many different thoughts and emotions hovering about in Universe Ocean. After all, there was no hatred between the various races of Universe Ocean and the Sector Beast. If the Sector Beast was willing to take them in and not attack them, then on the premise of knowing that there was little hope in defeating the Sector Beasts, quite a number of races were naturally willing to change sides. And the races from the primal universe era had many different fears. In the faraway ancestral god palace, the 3 ancestral gods were also receiving messages transmitted over from the willpower of the origin. Sector Beast, servant. Difficult. Disaster. Various messages were transmitted over, and after some time, the 3 ancestral gods opened their eyes. Now, there must be quite a few races that want to take the side of the Sector Beast. The youngest ancestral god shook his head with a snort. But those foolish fellows. How could they know? Once they become servants to the Sector Beasts, that is when the true disaster begins. Beside him, the old ancestral god added, now that the willpower of the origin has ordered us to spread the news, it must be hoping that the true gods will think twice, and not make a choice they will regret later. This is because, no matter what, races from the other 2 reincarnation eras of Universe Ocean were still children of the primal universe. Actually, there is no need to be so worried, Doubleface Ancestral God said. The willpower of the origin has already informed us that seeking to become a servant of the Sector Beasts is never easy. After all, the Sector Beasts will have to devour the origins of various miniature universes in the future. If the true gods that defect to the Sector Beasts' side are not powerful enough to be useful to the Sector Beasts, will the Sector Beasts still be willing to give up a miniature universe just to take them in? Wanting to change sides was not easy at all. After changing sides, regret was bound to follow. And that would then be a great calamity. The 3 ancestral gods immediately started to spread the news. As the ancestral god school itself consisted of quite a sizable number of true gods, it was easy for them to spread the news quickly throughout the entire universe ocean. The moment the news was spread, several races, who were originally still filled with uncertainty, were dealt with a great shock. Although they did suspect that the willpower of the origin might be lying to them, they were still filled with fear. They were not going to take the gamble so easily. The willpower of the origin is simply too easily agitated, Sitting Mountain Guest said, sitting along the outer wall of universe boat with a transmission token in his hand. Shaking his head, he said, whether those true gods lived or died, how does it affect the big picture? When a great calamity truly occurs, the sector beasts will show their scary sides. Then the true gods will understand that this is a truly great calamity, that they will not be able to hide from no matter how hard they try. It's just that I am not sure when exactly this disciple of mine will achieve his breakthrough to become a true god. Sitting Mountain Guest expressed his worries. That sector beast might have temporarily disappeared, but now that it has begun, what follows might amount in an endless chain of events, which will most likely be even more brutal and cruel. If Luo Feng still does not become a true god. News from the outside world was streaming in. Luo Feng was aware of everything happening in the outside world. He was also aware of the various changes, but he was still very much at peace. It had never crossed his mind to change over to take the side of the sector beasts. Because, judging by the clues found within the world of Jinn, not a single nation wanted to defect to the side of the sector beasts. Apparently, they were all worried that by siding with the sector beasts, their fates would be just as what the message of the willpower of the origin had predicted, an impending disaster. Back. Luo Feng stood within Star Tower as he looked outside. From afar, he could already see the immeasurable primal universe membrane wall, as the chaotic airflow was no longer able to obscure his line of vision. This was Luo Feng's first trip back to the primal universe onboard Star Tower since the sector beast first appeared. He had to send the blood of the sector beast back to his boundless remoteness ocean in order for remote ocean to execute its talent technique creation, to study and thoroughly comprehend the diagram of its life structure. I hope that through this I can achieve a breakthrough, and finally become a true god. Luo Feng earnestly looked forward to achieving his goal. Primal universe, human territory, Milky Way Holy Land. The mighty endless remote ocean was peaceful without any ripples. A 9-story tower came flying over from the void space far in the distance. It flew all the way over to the upper skies of the boundless remote ocean. Its Star Tower. Its Milky Way Horde Leader's Star Tower. There was originally a big batch of great beings congregating within Milky Way Holy Land. Other than a few true gods, there were over 100 universe masters present. Undoubtedly, it was easy for such a big group of them to quickly notice the 9-story tower appearing in the upper skies of the boundless remote ocean, which also happened to be one of Luo Feng's signature treasures. Su. 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 Numerous figures teleported over as quickly as they could. It's them. The doors of Star Tower opened, and Luo Feng, garbed in a white robe, walked out. From afar, he looked at the numerous great beings rushing toward him. Behind him, Fire Dome and Hong appeared. Milky Way Horde Leader. Teacher. A group of more than 100 great beings had rushed over and bowed with reverence, but they could not conceal the sense of urgency in their eyes. Most of them were high up the social ladder of the human race, so most certainly, they would have heard news about the battle between Luo Feng and the sector beast. The sector beast was the greatest enemy of the entire universe ocean. It could possibly destroy all the races. How could they not feel a sense of urgency? Luo Feng nodded. Milky Way Horde Leader, a grey-skinned man said deferentially but anxiously. We have all heard news about the battle between Milky Way Horde Leader and the sector beast, and we are curious about the sector beast calamity. Are you confident? The others all looked toward Luo Feng. They were unable to ask any further questions, so all they could do was ask Luo Feng if he had self-confidence. Luo Feng looked at the group of universe masters before him. He understood that this group just required a little more faith. They were feeling helpless against the sector beast. There was simply nothing else they could do. Horde leader, they all looked at him expectantly. Luo Feng's gaze swept through the numerous human great beings. Then, nodding slightly, he replied, yes. Instantly, a handful of masters showed a spark of joy. Fire Dome True God took a step forward and said in a straightforward manner, Teacher still has some important matters to tend to. Everyone can take your leave now. All right. Having received such a reply from Luo Feng, the universe masters, though not completely at ease, were now more reassured with a glimmer of confidence. One by one, they took their leave in a most respectful manner. Fire Dome True God and Hong looked one another in the eye. They did not further impose on Luo Feng. They both knew that this time, Luo Feng had important matters to see to. After watching everyone leave, Luo Feng's gaze became aloof. He whispered, the humans are insecure, unsettled, fearful, worried, yet regardless of how impressive a great being is, in the face of a sector beast calamity, no one will be able to guarantee 100% confidence. Even me. I have no confidence at all. Because no one knows how terrifying the sector beast will become toward the end. Luo Feng shook his head. The unknowns gave rise to the greatest fears. Even the documentation conducted on sector beasts in the world of Jin consisted of records made after the sector beasts entered their growth period, and even those were merely legends. This was why there was no detailed information to be had. He had obtained some information from a sector beast that had only just entered the third stage. Undoubtedly, the information was a far cry from the information that might be obtained from the final form of the king of the sector beast. Let's begin. Luo Feng turned to look at Star Tower. It was suspended by the side. I hope this blood of the sector beast does not disappoint me. At that moment, the water of remote ocean beneath him started to get turbulent with rolling waves. In an instant, the rolling waves surged up to become towering waves 10 million kilometers high. These massive waves enveloped Star Tower in its entirety. Star Tower was completely submerged. The height of the waves in Luo Feng's original location also increased by leaps and bounds, reaching a height of 100 million kilometers. Compared to the diameter of the boundless remote ocean, which was as wide as 12 light-years, this was relatively inconspicuous. Amidst the great waves was a vacuum, and Star Tower was suspended within this vacuum. The blood of the sector beast contains a force that is the complete opposite of godly power. The slightest carelessness, and I will probably be annihilated. Clothed in a white robe, Luo Feng looked at Star Tower beneath him. Relying on its suction force, Luo Feng was controlling the drop of black blood, which was also suspended in the vacuum. He did not dare to use his godly power to handle this blood, as he feared that any contact made with it would cause it to be accidentally annihilated. Previously, he had recreated Sector Beast Morosa with the help of Whirlpool World. He had directly sucked the blood of Sector Beast into Star Tower, which he had used as the storage vessel for this blood. All along, he had never come into contact with it via his godly power. Then Luo Feng had divided the sector beast blood into 16 portions. He feared that, should he be a little careless, he might accidentally annihilate this blood. This time around, beneath the base of Star Tower, was one of those 16 portions. It was one drop of sector beast blood. This drop of blood was entirely black in color, and was more beautiful than any diamond. With a diameter of around 1 kilometer, there was no way it could be further cut up. Undoubtedly, this was as small as it could get. Talent technique. Creation. White-robed Luo Feng looked at the drop of black blood suspended in midair. Then, with a move in his mind, Remote Ocean immediately executed the talent technique right away. Buzz. The surrounding space fell into the enshrouded region of this talent technique. This drop of black blood, that was originally so mysterious, was rapidly being stripped of its mysterious outer layer under the execution of this technique. The internal structure was speedily analyzed by Luo Feng, and there was a continuous indication that this blood was made up of various spots of light, the total of 100,000 light spots. Each spot was then further dissected. These light spots were Raw. A miniature sector beast, all black in color, with 2 heads, a pair of hands, and a pair of legs, standing in an upright posture, was roaring. 100,000 light spots. And upon being dissected, many superb, miniature sector beasts were found. Some tilted their heads back and roared. Some were bending over. Some were waving their claws. Some were in deep slumber. Some stood aside in silence. An even deeper level of analysis found that every miniature sector beast was said to be the most profound rhinoceros emperor game, which far exceeded any other rhinoceros emperor game Luo Feng had ever comprehended. It was mysterious and unpredictable. At that moment, Remote Ocean body entered the space of cultivation, within the boat of Mausoleum, and was continuously comprehending and analyzing at top speed under an environment where time was accelerated at a rate of 10,000 times. The life structure diagram from a single drop of sector beast blood was much more complex than the life structure diagram of any other true god, or true god of void space Luo Feng had ever encountered. Because of his status in the world of Jin, from the trillion of eras, Luo Feng might certainly have obtained some scales, armor, hair, and blood samples of true gods of void space. He might even have obtained samples from life forms at the eternal true god level. What a pity! The life structure diagram of an eternal true god was simply unfathomable. It exceeded Luo Feng's span of comprehension. Although he was able to understand the life structure diagrams of true gods and true gods of void space, for Luo Feng, who had already attained up to 89,999 times life gene level, the help obtained was not significant. This sector beast was, after all, the noblest life form in all of Universe Ocean. Luckily, it was still in the gestation stage, so Luo Feng could still keep tabs on it. If it went up by one more level, it would have become too profound, and Luo Feng might not have been able to analyze it at all. My talent technique can only analyze up to this level. The life structure diagram of a sector beast is indeed incredibly complex. True gods and true gods of void space are entirely different. Luo Feng's brows were closely knitted as his consciousness operated at an extremely fast pace. At 10,000 times the rate of normal time, he had memorized a tremendous amount of information. Yet, going deeper, he realized that these were 2 completely different methods. It could be understood this way: true gods of void space, and sector beasts were all fundamentally different in regards to their life structure diagrams. They were all composed of different structures. Previously, Luo Feng had not attained a complete understanding of this. Universe masters, true gods, and true gods of void space were equivalent to the elements of music, do, re, mi, fa. But the sector beast was more like the binary code of a computer language, which was made up of ones and zeros. All of them were composed of different essential elements. This could be based on one theory: a life form from Universe Ocean was essentially different than a sector beast. If I truly become a true god, then the path I take will be completely different from the average true god, Luo Feng said to himself. How will it help me? Luo Feng was frustrated. Just a while ago, he had somewhat gained a flash of comprehension. 10,000 times acceleration was equivalent to more than 3 days. He had already realized that the life structure diagram of the sector beast represented another vast world. It also represented another route. That route, in turn, represented a future that was just as vast as the world the life structure diagram represented. The thing was, it was very difficult to comprehend something from it. I am really at my wit's end. In order to create a race capable of proliferation, and to study the life structure diagrams, I have already spent up to 1 trillion eras. Yet I am stuck at this final step. Luo Feng shook his head. Now, let's comprehend first and hope that this sector beast blood can finally lead me to the enlightenment of my soul. Luo Feng thought no more and immediately immersed himself in comprehending the diagrams instead. Peace and quiet returned to Universe Ocean. Luo Feng's Mosha body and remote ocean body went onboard Star Tower, while his golden horned beast body boarded the vessel and remained stationed in Universe Ocean to stay vigilant at all times while waiting for the sector beast to reappear. The boat of Mausoleum was left in the boundless remote ocean, where Luo Feng had left a body sustained by godly power in the space of cultivation, to carry out comprehending and cultivation. Time passed. The various races were still worried, but in the blink of an eye, 1,000 years passed. The sector beast did not reappear in all that time, thus giving credibility to Luo Feng's claim that at least for a short period of time, the sector beast would not reappear. Virtual universe, in an area in space that solely belonged to Luo Feng. Amidst that lonely void space, a palace was afloat. On the public square before the palace, there was no one but Luo Feng. Clothed in a white robe, Luo Feng sat cross-legged without uttering a single word. He was looking far out into the distance at the numerous stars that filled the dark void space. Two figures appeared out of thin air. Father! Father! Two stylish-looking youths walked over. Luo Feng usually forbade ordinary great beings from entering this place, even if they were his disciples. On normal days, not a single one of them was qualified to enter without permission, with the exception of days when Luo Feng wanted to give lectures. As for the other true gods, only during crucial times would they be granted the right to come over. However, there were some who could turn up here anytime they wished, such as Primal Chaos City leader, Tru Yang, and his family. Luo Ping, Luo Hai. Luo Feng turned around to look at the spot not far away, where his two sons had appeared. The endlessly long period of 1 trillion years had certainly brought many changes to Luo Ping and Luo Hai. They were no longer the same men they had been when they were young. Now, they were more determined in the journeys they wanted to take in life. Father, Luo Ping said. We are here because of the sector beast. We are worried and would like to know more from you, Father. Worried? Luo Feng took one look at his two sons, then turned away to look far off into the endless void space. Who was not worried? Confronting a sector beast, even he was worried. But the other races had pinned all their hopes on him. And he, who could he pin his hopes on? No one. He had no other great beings to rely on, he only could depend on himself. He was worried that if he could not stop Sector Beast, the entire human race, the pulse of Earth, and his beloved family would perish. Yet, because of this worry, he no longer held on to any fear. I am only allowed to do my best. I have no path for retreat. Luo Feng was convicted. Right down to the final hour, if I have yet to level up to the third stage of the godly power route, then even if my godly body cannot achieve a breakthrough, I will immediately become a true god, gain stronger combat power, and fight this battle with all I've got. This video will end here.